this company, and you know what people say about a lot of opportunities? If you don't get in at the beginning, you probably missed out on a lot of the payoff. And maybe you thought that was true because this company was founded right as the baby boomers came on the scene and really needed what this company has to offer, both our products and services, as well as our business opportunity. Well, if you thought that was true, if you thought the baby boomers were a wave, then I contend that the millennials are a tidal wave. Even bigger than the baby boomers. And what's going to happen over the next 20 or 30 years at Primerica is going to be truly astounding. Because, folks, I can tell you, not only is this the largest generation ever to exist in North America, it's the most educated, it's the most financially blessed. They'll have more money under their control than any other generation has ever had. They're the most diverse, and they're the most financially illiterate of any generation that's ever been here. They have not been trained. They do not know what to do. They do not own the right products today. It's all need, and none of it's been met yet. Folks, that's an exciting place to be when you're a company that's situated firmly in the middle market. That's the ground. That's the neighborhood. Other companies drive through our neighborhood and try to sell some folks, and then they head back to the rich houses. We're the only company that owns the middle market, owns Main Street, North America. And that's where this generation lives. And folks, they need us like no generation before. And so while we've been successful up to this point, folks, we are looking at a future that's explosive. We're looking at an opportunity for the next 20 or 30 years that we need a lot more distribution and leadership than we have today. And that's why you've been asked to attend today. Because someone thought enough of you that said, I believe this person has inside them the ability to help us build distribution and become a leader and succeed in building their own Primerica business. Folks, it should flatter you that someone invited you here today. Someone thought enough of you to say, I want that person to be on my team. I want them to be part of the team I'm building. I want them to build their own team here. And so you should feel great about you actually being here today and being a part of what's going to happen down the road, folks, in our business. It's an amazing opportunity. It's an amazing business, and I feel so blessed to be part of it. And I think the case for the opportunity is clear. I can make a logical case, and that's what I do a lot of the times, especially when I'm dealing with Wall Street or investors. Some of our major investors, always ask me, what's the philosophy? What do you see down the road? And man, I can tell a story because I believe it. I believe that story. And the question I don't believe today is about the company. I think the question today is about you. See, the question today is, can you find a future taking advantage of what this company is going to do in the next 10 or 20 or 30 years? It really becomes a very personal question, and the question is, how can you and your family become financially independent? That's what I want to challenge you to focus on today. That's really what today is all about, to expose you to this. And so I'm going to give you some advice about how to maximize today, if I could. If I could be so bold to give you some coaching tips. This is probably about the 3 millionth meeting like this that I've ever attended, so I may have more experience attending meetings like this. And so let me give you some advice. Number one, I would say, is listen today with an open mind. Uncross your arms. Be open to something that maybe is presented from a different angle, a different direction, a different perspective from what you usually hear, and listen with an open mind. If you're going to be here for 6 or 8 hours, there's no need to waste that time, folks. Try to get something out of it. Listen to what's being said. Listen to what the speakers are talking about. Evaluate it. Have an open mind. Ask the question, could I be that person up there? Could I accomplish what they've done? Ask the question that Ron said, can I be half as good as that person up there speaking? Heck, why not ask, can I be twice as good as that person up there speaking? Think big and have an open mind. The second thing, folks, is take action. Take action. Today you're probably going to make some decisions as you sit out there. In fact, I don't believe you can sit here today without making at least one decision. You're either going to decide that you're going to pursue this or not pursue this after this meeting. And so you're going to make some decisions. And all I ask you to do is make some decisions and take action on them. Make some decisions and take action. The decision is worthless if you don't take action. And so make sure that you are in decision-making mode and you're planning on going to work at whatever you decide. Hey, if you decide this is not for you, then there's a better opportunity out there for you than Primerica. At least go pursue that opportunity. Don't just sit and do nothing. Either pursue this one or pursue a better one for you. But don't sit and do nothing. And then one of the things that I always find helpful in life is to look at everybody else and ask the question, if I do what everybody else does, am I happy getting what everyone else is getting. See, if you do what everyone else does, you're going to get what everybody else got. And as you look around you and see the condition of most people on Main Street today, I bet you're not going to be satisfied with that answer. I bet you're going to look around and go, you know what? I don't want what everybody else has got. I want more from my family. I want something beyond what the average and ordinary person has. I'm willing to work harder. I'm willing to become smarter. I'm willing to build experience I don't have. I can fill the gaps. I can learn the skills. And folks, that's one of the beauties of this business. Everything you need to succeed here is a learned skill. You could be born with absolutely no business skills, no people skills. You can learn every single thing that you need to win here by being around other people that already have it. That's one of the beauties of this business. And so if you look around and you say, I don't want to have what most people have, that means you can't do what most people do. So let me give you 3 things to avoid. And you talk about transferable principles beyond business to other important areas of your life. I believe these are totally transferable to other areas. Most people do. Here's what they do. If you want what most people got, do what most people do. Here's what it is. The first thing most people do is most people wait. Most people wait. They avoid. They won't make a decision. They avoid making a decision. They procrastinate. They delay. Delay is deadly in life. Folks, make a decision and take action. Hey, if it's wrong, just do it over. For heaven's sake, don't be afraid to fail. If you make a bad decision, go, that didn't work. Let's try again. Most decisions that are wrong aren't fatal. Nobody dies from them. Might be a little discomfort, but don't wait. Folks, procrastination is absolutely deadly. Don't put things off, because that's what most people do. The second thing most people do is most people quit. If they don't wait, they quit. We are bred to be, as human beings, a people of quitters. It is unbelievable how many people quit at things they do. I just remember when I first I spent 15 years in Canada with the company from 1985 to 2000, and I remember going up in 1985 as a young kid. I was only 26 years old, and I remember when we first started, we opened the company for business in Canada, and we recruited a wave of humanity the first year. We were unbelievably successful in our first year. And we got to the end of the first year, and a whole bunch of people didn't renew their insurance licenses. And I was stunned. I said, how can anybody go to all the trouble to get an insurance license and then a year later not to renew? What do you mean? I just couldn't understand. And then I learned that most people quit. Most people are just wired to quit. I remember when our son started playing football at the little school he went to. They started a football program when he was in the 7th grade. And so it was a small school, didn't have a football program, so a bunch of kids went out, and it was great, it was exciting. And then a few years later, we got to where they were going to field the first varsity team. He was in the 9th grade 2 years later, and I said, Marshall, it must be awesome. You guys this is your 3rd year of football. You're going to put the first varsity team on the field, and I know everybody's been working hard. This is their 3rd year of hard work, and everybody's excited to be part of this. And he goes, Dad, none of them are here. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, all those kids that played in the 7th grade, they're not here. They quit. This is new kids. He says they didn't even last 2 or 3 years. They didn't have the commitment to hang on 2 or 3 years to even be part of that first varsity team, because we're just wired to quit. Folks, I know many of you have bumped into somebody at Primerica and they said, I tried that thing, but it didn't work, so I quit. And really what they're saying is they tried this thing and they didn't work, so they quit. Don't blame human condition on Primerica or anything else. People don't quit because of Primerica. People quit whether they're part of Primerica or not. Let me give you the best example of all, folks. If you've ever studied the high school graduation rate in our country, it is a disaster. And I come from an educational background, so I'm not criticizing teachers, educators. I don't know, I can't pinpoint all the reasons. But the results are, it's unbelievable that of the kids that start in the 9th grade, in the state of Georgia where I'm from, almost 40% of them don't complete high school. The graduation rate's between 60 and 70% in the state of Georgia. Now, I realize I come from Georgia, okay, and our educational system is one of the worst, okay? There's no question about that. I mean, as a matter of fact, the Georgia education system is ranked 49th in the U.S. And so I'm qualified to talk about it. I'm sure it's better up here in the Northeast, but it's a disaster. Do you know what the motto for the Georgia Department of Education is? Thank God for Mississippi. Because they're 50. It's really not true. But folks, think about that. Now think about this. Think about what quitters we are. They will put your tail in jail if your kids don't go to school, and almost 40% of them don't graduate from high school. Now think about if we could do that in Primerica, where if you didn't come to the op meeting, somebody went to jail. We'd have people showing up, wouldn't we? But folks, people are quitters. Don't quit. If you make a decision to build a Primerica business, or if you make a decision to be, in a partnership, to be married, if you make a decision to be a parent, if you make a decision to get healthy, if you make a decision to be in the right place spiritually, folks, stick with it. Don't quit, because when you look around you and you see people that aren't where you want to be in life, it's because they're quitting. Most people quit. And folks, if people that don't wait and don't quit, most people settle. This is one for those of us that are already part of Primerica a lot of the time. Most people settle. We had huge dreams at one time, but something interfered and we started to say, you know what, maybe I don't need to be that big. Maybe I don't want to be that successful. Maybe it's really not necessary for me to change that many lives. Maybe my children don't need everything, or my grandchildren, or my parents and my grandparents don't need everything I thought they needed. And we start to justify where we are as okay, rather than saying I'm going to go for what I should have, for what I wanted, for what I deserve, for what God intended me to have. Folks, that's settling. That's dangerous. I described it yesterday, and Ron repeated it last night. As human beings, we have a tendency to shrink our dreams to fit our reality, rather than expanding our reality to fill our dreams. When you start shrinking your dreams and saying, I really didn't need everything I thought, I'm pretty successful, I'm making $100,000 in Primerica, I really don't need to be $1 million earner, even though at one time that was my objective, then you start to settle in. Folks, we're not looking for settlers, we're looking for pioneers. We're looking for people that are traveling. We're looking for people that are going to the promised land. They're going to the other side, and they're not going to stop. They're not going to pitch a tent halfway and say this is okay. Folks, that's dangerous. Don't do that. Don't do that. Those are the temptations. Those are the justifications that as you sit here and listen to this meeting today, you're going to have a whole lot of temptation to wait, to quit, or to settle. Don't do that, because you'll get what other people have. Well, Glenn, that sounds like a pretty big challenge, and it sounds like a lot of work, and it is. And so why should I do all that, Glenn? Are the results really worth it? Are the results really good enough on the other side that I should go to all this effort, all this work, take some risk, do some things that make me feel uncomfortable? Folks, I want to tell you, it's absolutely worth it. It's absolutely worth it. When you start to realize the need that's out there, that you can meet as an individual that has the resources at your disposal to do what needs to be done, it's totally unbelievable. You see, a lot of people worry that money makes people bad. And you know what? More money makes bad people worse. More money makes good people better. Yep. I want to see some money in the hands of good people, not bad people. I want to see money in the hands of people that can do something great for their community, do something great for their family, do something great for their church. Let me give you just one example to expand your thinking, because we tend at Primerica to talk a lot about how much money people make, and of course that is important, but let me go a little bit beyond that with my remaining couple of minutes. One of the objectives, one of the things we recognize people for, and I understand we're going to do some recognition up here later, and I'm sure this is going to be part of it, is we recognize people who make $100,000 in 12 months or less at Primerica. $100,000 ring, you put the ring on, it's a Super Bowl size ring, people ask you about it everywhere you go, it's a conversation starter, it recognizes you for an accomplishment, and it is truly one heck of an accomplishment to earn $100,000 a year or more in your Primerica business. Would everybody agree with that? How many would like to make $100,000 more here today? That's one heck of an accomplishment, and folks, I want that for you. I want that to happen for you. But I want you to think beyond that. Usually when we think beyond 100,000, somebody thinks about, well, what about making 200,000 or 500,000 and $1 million? And you know what? All that's great. But let me change the perspective just a minute for you. What if your next goal after earning $100,000 a year was not just to earn 200 or 500 or $1 million, but it was to save $100,000 a year? How would that change your perspective if you knew what you were doing here was not just making as much money you could make and spend it all, but to really start to accumulate some wealth so that you could become a financially independent family? What would it take to save $100,000 a year? So let's just do the math real quick. So let's say you make $100,000 and you're handling your money well, so you're probably giving 10% to charity. You're probably, so that's $10,000. You're probably saving another